Hello everyone, this is Mr. Stern and
Miss Machuzak.
we are here today to talk to you about the fourth theme of geography, which is all about movement.
Okay, so movement is the idea that people, goods, and ideas move from place to place in many different ways. And you're going to take the notes for movement. What is movement? Right here in that dotted box.
So if you ever need to pause to write stuff down, you can do that while you're watching this video. So again, movement is the idea that people, like you and I, goods, things we buy in the store, and ideas or information move from place to place in many different ways. So, just like what we just said, we talked about people moving, and maybe you've moved before. Maybe it was because your parents found a new job or you got a new house. Goods move from place to place, and you were assigned an assignment that had you look at where different items came from, and you probably saw that lots of the things we buy in the store come from different places in the world. And then ideas, information. Our information travels quickly nowadays because of like social media and technology, and we're all very connected through our technology, and that's how information gets out.
So some key vocabulary that you need to know, that's pretty important, and you will be taking down these two terms right here on the back of your notes under other key vocabulary. These are words such as exports, which means products leaving or exiting a country, and imports, products coming into or entering a country.
So if you want to take a second to jot those down, if you need to pause the video, you can do that too. So why do people move? Well, we like to call the reasons people move push and pull factors. And if you look at the screen, there's on the left-hand side someone leaving, and then on the right-hand side, looks like someone's pulling. And we'll talk about why those pictures are the way they are in the next slide.
And you're going to take those notes for push factor here and pull factor here. So a push factor is why people leave an area. You want to think something is happening that's pushing the people out of that country or that state or that city. So an example would be a person leaving an area, or for the term for that person leaving an area is known as an immigrant. So you think about all the time people trying to come to the United States, being pushed here for certain reasons, and we'll go over those in a few slides. There's also pull factors, or why people are coming to an area, being pulled in to a country, and like I said, you'll see some of those examples here on the next slide.
So this is the chart that is on your notes, number 3, and on the left-hand side, you're going to put the push, like why are they leaving, and then on the right-hand side, you're going to put what's bringing them in, what's pulling them to an area. So we're going to look at different types of factors why people are moving. And on the left-hand side, for your push factor, it's why they're leaving, and the pull is what's bringing them in. So for the first one, we're talking about political factors, and we're looking at things that deal with the government. So what might push you out if you have a poor political leader, meaning the person in charge of your country isn't fair, or maybe they're like a dictator and they're not respecting people's rights and freedoms. That might push you out. That might cause you to want to leave. Or maybe there are wars going on in that country and you want to escape the wars. So you leave and find refuge in some other country. So what's going to pull you in on the right-hand side? What's going to draw you to a different country? Maybe it's just better political leadership. Maybe the government in that new country is fair and looks out for the citizens and protects their rights and freedoms. And there's peace and stability in that country. It's not chaotic and it's not a war zone. So you are drawn to that country. A lot of people leave and come to our country because their country has a poor leader, and we have a strong democracy in our country, and it's very peaceful. We don't have a lot of wars going on, in our country, on our soil.
All right, a second type of push and pull factor is environmental, or think about Mother Nature, things that are happening within the environment. So a push factor, or one reason you might leave a certain area, are things like natural disasters. So you'll want to think, for example, along the Carolinas or maybe in Florida, there's a lot of hurricanes that occur there. Maybe, your family doesn't want to live in that area with all those different natural disasters, so you're pushed to go move to a different area, maybe a little more inland away from the coast. Also, poor climate. So you want to think, for example, people do not live in Antarctica because it is so cold. It's pretty much, impossible to live there. So you're pushed out of that area. You need to find somewhere else to live.
Also, a lot of people, like when they retire, they like to leave Ohio. They're pushed out of Ohio because they don't like the snow and they don't like the cold weather. So they're pushed out because Ohio's weather kind of sucks.
Right? And so they might be pulled, we'll look at the second bullet point here, they might be pulled more towards a place like Florida where it's a little warmer year round. They don't really need the winter coats anymore. Things like that. You also might be pulled to an area that has little threat of natural disasters. So I would say, and Mr. Stern, you can let me know if you agree or not, I think Ohio, we do pretty well in the realms of natural disasters. Yes, we probably get a lot of snow, cold weather, rain. You can see this, all 4 seasons in a week. But you got to think about, like in Kansas, for example, I had a college friend who lived in Kansas, and they would have constant tornado warnings and things like that. That's not really something we have to worry about here in Ohio, so that might be a pull factor for some people to come live here.
The next one is social factors. This is a tricky one. This one deals with how people are treated. So if you are in an area and you're facing discrimination, people are judging you or treating you unfairly because of your race, the color of your skin, your ethnicity, your religious background, your socioeconomic status, meaning how much money you have. Those things are going to push you out. You're not being given religious freedom in the area that you're in. You're moving out because of those things, how you're treated. It's unfair. It's not right. So what's going to pull you into another area? Acceptance. People accept you for who you are and what your background is like. They're tolerant of you. They provide you with religious freedom. You're free to worship any God that you choose, or you can choose not to have a religion. A lot of the pilgrims, maybe you remember the pilgrims from 5th grade, I don't know. The pilgrims came over for religious freedom. They were drawn to America because they didn't like the Church of England. So they came over on the Mayflower, and they had religious freedom here. We also have Rosa Parks here. A lot of African Americans were discriminated against in the South during the 1960s, so a lot of them were pulled to the North because they were more accepted and there was less discrimination in the northern states.
And then the last one that we're going to talk about today is economic factors. When you think of this push and pull factor, you want to think jobs, money, and trade. So one push factor, a reason that you might leave an area, is lack of employment opportunities. Maybe there aren't any jobs available for you to make money for yourself or for your family. So you might be pulled to another area or city who has an opportunity or has open jobs for you. Like Mr. Stern mentioned earlier in this presentation, you might have moved before because your parent or guardian got a new job. That might be one way you were pushed out of that area and pulled somewhere else. And that's why you might live in that house now.
And a lot of people leave Ohio because of this, or they leave the Cleveland area because they're pushed out because there aren't many job opportunities, and they're pulled into a new area because there are lots of jobs available for them. So you have to make money in order to survive in the world, and this might be a reason why you leave, because there's a job somewhere else. You're pulled in for money.
All right, so once you are done taking your notes, like we said, you could pause, you can rewind to go back to something that you need to fill in. We are going to worry about the back tomorrow, so you only are responsible for the front side with movements. We're going to go through some practice examples as a class. You're going to do some practice on your own around the room that deals with the different types of push and pull factors that you might see in your society or in your community.
That's all, folks.